everybody, it's Travis from Kruegear.com. It's Sunday, March 20th, 2011. Welcome to Kruegear's first and very official, hopefully, plug and review. The brand new feature on Kruegear.com where I, Travis, aka Boogie, who's still nursing a rather nasty cold but feeling a little bit better and a very sore back, reviews and plugs a couple of really worthwhile endeavors on the web and a couple of really great artisans. Now, this is the first one. This is the very first plug-in review. I'll be doing this periodically as things come up on the web that I think are really cool and that you might want to know about. And it really has nothing to do with my site. You can also use it as a springboard for information on where to get your coolest gear around the Nightmare series, as far as I can tell. So here we go. This is episode or installment or unit number 1 of the plugin review. We're going to be reviewing 2 people on this this week's episode. I may do that in the future. I may not. It just so happens that what instigated this review was, I did a review for Mark at Knife Gloves for his Avenger glove a few weeks back, and I've been wanting to showcase a couple of guys out there who do really great stuff. And it just so happens over the past few days, 2 guys have kind of unknowingly converged and collided into each other, and they both do stellar work. So I thought I might take advantage of that and showcase the both of them on this plugin review. Excuse me. Now, because there are 2, I'm going to have to be a little bit creative with my showcasing abilities, but I hope you guys enjoy. So let me introduce you to both of them, and we'll hopefully come to some kind of confluence of universal forces of hardware gearism, and at the very end you'll know who to go to, why to go to, and just why they made Kruegear's plugin review episode 1 for all internet history in perpetuity, going forward forever, because the internet does not forget. Alright, so here we go. Oh, sorry, back is really still messed up. The first person I want to introduce you to is a very old gentleman acquaintance of mine. Let's just say, even though he himself is not very old. In fact, he's only 23, which makes me old enough to be his father. Chris, I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll discuss that at a later date. Perhaps when I come out for Foster's on UMate. Mr. Chris Stanley, who has his very own horror production website called Horror Effects, and he is based in beautiful Sydney, Australia, down under. He has been in this game not too long, but he's been in it a little while now. I think he's been in it just a couple of years. I could be wrong, Chris. You could let me know. I'm trying to keep it as much to my facts as I can. But Chris and I go way back, and actually both the guys I'm going to be reviewing and I go way back in some way, shape, or form. I spoke a little bit ago about how I have this 13-year-old kid, Connor, who contacted me, and I made this statement, and it's still true, that I never had a kid contact me who actually builds gloves. It's kind of true, it's kind of not, because what I really meant to say was I've never had a kid who's like full bore into full on, he's banging these things out left and right, and they're really hot and this and that. And he wasn't really a noob, a newbie. I had a 13-year-old kid once contact me. In fact, it was about 10 years ago. And he was 13. He had just started building gloves, and I did. When I was contacted by him years later, I did remember him. And I remember everybody, as a lot of you guys on the show know. When you pop up and I haven't seen you in years, I remember your full name just by your nickname and your screen name. Mike Wells, I'm talking about you. So anyway, this kid named Chris Stanley from Australia sent me a picture of his very first glove 10 years ago when he was 13 years old. And I remember it very well. It's when Kruegear had just started out online. And it was very good, and I remember we had a little bit of a conversation, something to the effect of, it's really great, mate, keep it up, da-da-da-da-da, and I know he was watching me for a while. Anyway, when Kruegear came back, so did Chris, 23, 10 years later. And his stuff, like anybody who's been building now for 10 years, which he has, whether on his own or on his website, he's very good. And I shouldn't say like everybody who builds, because frankly, some people get it and some people don't. Chris, you know, I was talking about Mark gloves, he gets it. It being, you know, you either have the eye for this stuff or you don't. And it's not a slam or a judgment or any of that on anybody. It's just, you know, it's an artistic endeavor. So, and like many artists, they're more, you know, talented, and then they're more skilled at other things. And like I said, we all bring things to the craft. But Chris is really, really good. He's, you know, I went and I checked. I'm going to show a bit of his stuff. I went and I checked out some of his stuff. Chris does a couple of different gloves, which are differently named than, you know, everybody has their own names that they call them. But for all intents and purposes, he does a part 1, he does a part 6, and I believe he does a part 4. But he definitely, he does a part 1 and he does a part 6. And I'm a fan of both, because what he's done is he has brought a very high degree of screen accuracy into the forefront of his site. Oh, he calls them the England. It's so great. England 84, England 86, according to the year of the glove. Very, very clever, Chris. And as you can see by looking at these gloves, they are incredibly accurate. They are gorgeous pieces of art. I mean, this is true art, guys. When you look at this stuff, this is what it takes to really build a glove. What this guy is putting into it. One of the most talented artisans in mechanical effects I've seen, and I've seen my fair share. I've worked in the industry, not only in animation, but on live action. I've worked in a couple of areas where I've been privy to a lot of mechanical effects guys, and special effects guys. And Chris, you got a future in this. And you know, Chris stated very clearly he wants to go into the industry. You know, special effects by day, actor by night. Very Batman of you. And I wish him well, but I really wanted to plug him and show off some of his wares. So I highly recommend checking out Chris's site, Horror Effects Productions, in Sydney, Australia. I highly recommend picking up one of his gloves. I mean, they're just gorgeous. He pays the same attention to detail, frankly, that I do, and any of the other top glove builders out there do. You would not be disappointed. I mean, just look at the presentation that he's done. And I wanted to make sure to get that plug in there. Now, plug number 2. As it happens, another very long-standing associate of mine, who was one of my first clients way back, we talk on and off now, you know, many years later, is Mr. Joe Scaringe. And Joe Scaringe, as some of you know, and many of you might know, has constructed, excuse me while I get my coffee, fabricated, given birth to, in my humble opinion, and guys remember, this is just my humble opinion, okay? The most astounding physical representation of the part 1 makeup and visage of the boogeyman we all love so much as never to be believed. I still look at this thing, I don't even have it in front of me physically, but I've seen enough of it now to know that there's no trick of light, there's no, you know, illusion. What this gentleman has done is akin to, this is how I see it. Let's say Mike Becker, who owns the original screen-used Hero Part 1 glove. Let's say Mike Becker was able to clone, using Jeff Goldblum's pod apparatus from The Fly, in some weirdo, you know, malfunction, and clones the glove. That is what this piece, this sculpt, would be comparable to. As if somebody cloned the physical head and neck of Robert under that makeup on part 1, on the original film. That is what I see when I look at this thing. This sculpt is so beautifully mastered, not just in its reproduction of the original detail from the first film, which is hard enough by the way, because it's the makeup is always seen in such harsh light and shadow. I mean, imagine the sheer study time that Joe spent researching this thing over years. I know the going consensus is he sculpted it over 3 years. It was a lot longer than that. Trust me, I know this, because I've asked him. This sculpt is not only flawless as any reproduction can be. Remember, I always say there's a difference between exact replica and screen accurate. This goes way beyond screen accurate, but I'm never going to call anything an exact replica. But what I'm going to tell you is, I want to, in this case. But not only is the representation of him perfect, the pose and the life inside this bust. If you watch the video that I'm about to show, once this thing hits the torso, the mannequin torso, it doesn't even need to do anything. And you can compare this to any other bust that you see out there, as far as I'm concerned, on a torso. And they look fabulous. This one is Madame Tussauds quality. It lives, and it only has to sit there as the camera moves around. Floored does not describe my reaction to this thing. As far as I'm concerned, it is the top tier echelon of what has been and what will ever be done as far as a Part 1 bust is concerned. I want one very badly. I'm saving my pennies, Joe. And I really wanted to plug you because, you know, you made it onto the documentary. You're a fantastic guy to talk to. Highly professional. Joe does these one at a time, by hand, everything. He does the entire process by himself. Tedious, long, arduous, back-breaking. Huge molds, and every one so far that I've seen comes out flawless. No seams. I mean, cleaned up, neat. It is museum quality. And it just so happens that Chris Stanley picked one up, number 3 of the castings. So, you've made my job very easy, you two, because I wanted to plug both of you. And as it happens, Chris did most of the work for me, so I will hand it over to Mr. Chris Stanley from Horror Effects Productions, who does amazing gloves, unboxing Joe Scaringe's Deadhead Incorpserated Dream Creeper more than screen accurate bust on one tidy video. Take it away, boys.
Hey everybody, Chris Stanley from Horror Effects Productions with a very special video. It is a 10:15 in the morning on the 17th of March here in Sydney, Australia. At precisely pretty much 10 o'clock on the dot, I got a knock from the postman with this. This is my Dream Creeper bust from Mr. Joe Scaringe over in California. I pretty much waited 3 years for this thing. I still remember, I'm pretty sure it was 3 years ago, Joe posted on Night Owl the rough sculpture of this, and I thought, I've got to have that. I cannot let this slip by. And a couple of years went by and Joe finally said, I'm finishing this off. Things come up in life that you can't really handle, I guess, and had to put it aside for a while, and he finally finished it. I remember it was the beginning of last year. He finished it, and that's when he put his website, deadheadincorpserated.com up, and he had the teaser pictures and, reserve your spot and everything. So, shit, I've got to reserve my spot. So I kept hounding him and hounding him, when's it going to be available? And a couple of months went by, and he said, I've got bills to pay and whatnot, so just had to put it on hold. I thought, okay, cool, it's definitely going to happen. So finally, they're in production, and I managed to snag number 3 off the very first run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to me on the floor, and we're going to open this baby. Alright, let's do this. Alright, let's do this. 3 years in the making from Mr. Joe Scaringe. This is Dream Creeper. And this is like a second Christmas for me. Sticky tape. Alrighty. Oh baby. I see ahead. Oh boy. You know, I really could tease you all and just end the video right now, but I'm not. Oh shit. Oh my god. Fuck. Wow. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Dream Creeper. God, this thing is beautiful. And we've got a signature. Dream Creeper, casting number 3, J. Scaringe. Wow. Joe, man, I'm completely speechless. This thing is freaking awesome. Let's see if I can get that. Also, just want to say Joe has been a complete professional throughout this whole founding stage of me pursuing him and when it's going to be available. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet, completely professional. And for this being his first, I'm pretty sure it was his first sculpture and casting, this is without a doubt the most professional piece I've ever received. Even the inside is neat. You know, Joe warned me, he said the inside's a little messy, but mate, I cannot see any mess in here. It's just the whole thing is... Okay, I'm gonna have to cut for a little while, and then when I come back and change my underwear, I'll get some more shots. Okay, we're back. Now, I've calmed myself down, I've changed my underwear, and I've just mounted him on a mannequin torso, and this is my David Miller Creations Part 1 sweater. And here he is. And looks fucking awesome, quite frankly. So even got the chart here, the hole through it. Actually, a couple of days ago I was doing some comparison shots of some pictures Joe had on his website to the behind the scenes pictures of Robert having the makeup applied, and I can't find flaw. It's perfect. Now, I highly recommend picking one of these up. The website is www.deadheadincorpserated.com, and it has the Dream Creeper sales page there. You will not be disappointed. I've got some eyes on the way from, I forget the name of the website now. They specialise in eyes for commercials and movies for animatronics. I found the perfect set of eyes with veins, and it's the right shade of olive green that were the colour of Robert's eyes in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. That's pretty much it, guys. So now comes the fun and nerve-wracking part of painting this beautiful piece. Thank you very much for watching. This is Chris Stanley at Horror FX.
All right, well, this ends the first episode of Kruegear's official plug and review. You can find both of these fine and talented artisans at the following addresses. You can find Chris Stanley and his England 84 through 86 or 88 gloves, I'm not sure what they are, but all of his fabulous gloves at www.horrorfx.net. And you can find Mr. Joe Scaringe and his equally fabulous Part 1 original makeup sculpt, the Dream Creeper, at www.deadheadincorpserated.com. Make sure you get the Incorpserated right when you type that in. And please feel free to say hi to both of them from Travis, your humble and long-winded host. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks all you guys for your well-wishing. I'm feeling a little bit better, but moving is still a little difficult, but we're working on it. So until next time, everybody, on the next episode of Kruegear's Plug and Review, this is Travis Cowsill, signing off.